magnolia. Everything's looking pretty at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, are they? Pretty.
Tulips.
Welcome to Swarkestone Nursery. We're here with Green Fingertips, the April edition. And I'm here with Mark Smith, who's going to talk about... What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about Japanese maples.
Right.
It's one of my favourite plants of all time. One of the very first plants I ever planted in my garden or ever bought when I was working in horticulture. I've got a real passion for it. And all the people that ever come and ask me, they seem to have problems with them. They seem to think they're difficult to grow and that kind of thing. But they're not difficult, they're very, very easy. I mean, the first misconception of Japanese maples is people think that they need protection in winter. They don't. They're very, very, very tough, very, very hardy. It's an outdoor plant. In fact, a lot of the varieties of Japanese maples that you buy in the garden centres actually came from some of the most remote regions and colder regions of Japan. So the up mountains and such like. So
it suits our English weather.
It does. It perfectly. Snow-covered mountains. And when they went plant hunting, they actually picked a lot of these varieties. A lot of them that you buy in the garden centres these days are very, very old varieties, and they come from very, very remote regions. So you don't need to protect them. People think you need to put plastic around them, you need to put fleece around them, and you don't. Just leave them outside, leave them out in the open air. The only thing that they don't really particularly like is wet and rain and moisture around the roots. That can rot them and you get a lot of dieback. So plenty of well-drained compost. It's got to be rich compost if you're planting it in a container. And because Japanese maples are ericaceous or acid-loving plants, you need a specialist compost. You've got that look on your face where you think, oh, specialist compost, difficult, but you can actually buy...
Oh, that's what we have to use.
Yeah, this is ericaceous compost.
Right, okay.
You can use this for azaleas, rhododendrons, anything that's acidic-loving, and Japanese maples love this. So if you're planting in a pot, use ericaceous compost, so solely ericaceous, not multi-purpose ericaceous. If you're planting in the ground, maples will they'll go from neutral to acid soil. So in regular garden soil, if you was to plant them in the garden, they'll be fine, unless it's very, very limey, and then you would add something like ericaceous in with the compost, in with the soil too.
That's for 4 months then?
The feed is for 4 months. It's just while the plant's establishing.
Oh, right. So you don't have to keep...
No, and when you do buy a maple, a Japanese maple in any garden centre, actually in the compost there'll be a slow release fertiliser which will last for about 18 months. So that's just while it's trying to establish in the ground or in the pot, just in those early. They don't actually need, that's the other misconception. People feel that they need constant feeding and looking after and attention. They don't. It's plant, leave and forget about. We've got, having said that, this feed here, this is again ericaceous food. It's got its own particular food. This is a liquid. Now, a liquid fertiliser works quicker. So if you feel that the plant is struggling and it's not growing particularly well, you can do a liquid feed over the foliage when it's not on a bright, hot, sunny day like today. But a liquid feed over the leaves, and that works a lot quicker. If you was to do an annual feed, which you should, a scattering of the ericaceous slow release fertiliser, which again, that's 3 months.
That's going to last
But
longer.
that's going to last because they don't need a lot of food at all. It's like I say, a misconception that they need a lot of food and a lot of care.
So that's like a quick fix.
A quick fix. If it's stunted growth or doesn't feel as though you feel it's struggling. And that's the annual feed, and you only do that once a year in the spring, around about sort of the end of February, March time, and you would scatter that on. There's no reason why you can't put it on now. Like I say, it's a 3 month feed. When you're picking a maple, the only consideration is whether you go for a red leaf one, if you particularly like the red, a yellow leaf one, or a green leaf one.
Right.
Now,
do these all flower?
They don't. We've got a few varieties here that are actually in flower now, and they have they're very pretty flowers, red with a yellow centre to them, and on occasion when they feel that they're when they've been in a pot for a long time, they do tend to send flowers out. Certain varieties will flower every single year. There's a variety called Acer aconitifolium, and Japonicum, which will flower every single year, and that has a green leaf. But when you're looking at the red leaf, the green leaf, and the yellow leaf, another misconception is that they need to be in a shaded position because, again, to protect them. It's not the case with the reds and the greens and the yellows. The yellows, if you put them in a shady position, they go very, very dark green. Now, if I step back, I can show you this. Now, from the knob, I mean, that is supposed to be a more yellowy, limey, yellowy colour, but that's a green because it is in a shady position. And all the yellows will go a muted green or a lime green or a very light yellow. If they're in a shady position, they need the sun. The reds also need the sun because to keep the really, really rich colours. Again, if I show you this one, it's been all the others are very, very red, but when they're packed in tight, it's gone a very muted sort of green, a very light green. Just the tops where it's getting the sun go the proper red colour. So it's important that they are in sun. And most people will argue, saying, well, if it's in sun, it's going to get sun scorch. Now, it only ever gets sun scorch and the leaves going brown if you don't water them enough. You need plenty of water. These have been watered really well. They're quite weighty. That's an important thing when you're buying. I mean, here at Swarkestone, we've got a fabulous selection. When you buy, make sure the plant's really well watered before you buy, because you're starting off. If it's very light, and you can pick it up, you know it hasn't been watered, it hasn't been looked after, and you're starting off on a bad beginning, really, with your maple.
So when do you know when to sort of plant them out in the garden, take them out of the tubs?
I mean, this time of year when they've just started to come into leaf is a fabulous time because you can pick the colours. As you look down this display, they've got various different shades of red, which some will stand out to you that you particularly like. And it's a great time to see the colours now. In the winter time, when people traditionally planted them, no leaf on, you couldn't really tell. But now you can select the colour, and all you do is you take the pot off. In fact, I'm going to tip compost everywhere, but hey ho. And then you see that's a great root system. It's a good start. That's another key indicator. A lot of plants that you do buy have hardly got any roots, and again, if they haven't got a good root ball, they're not going to have a very good start. But these are around about 5 to 6 years old. They're well rooted in the pots, and all you have to do is plant that in the garden.
Well, anything underneath, or
a little bit of ericaceous compost. Don't put any feed on at all, because again, on the roots on a Japanese maple, it's very fibrous roots. They're not like big tap roots, thick tap roots. They're very fibrous, so they're susceptible for fertiliser scorch. So if you put fertiliser in the hole and you put the plant on top of that fertiliser, it's potentially it could scorch the roots, and then you start to see either wilting or leaf scorch at the top. So it's important that you don't put fertiliser in. Plant it, firm it in really well with the surrounding soil and the ericaceous compost. If you really wanted to, then put a sprinkle and a fertiliser on the top after. And then again, the key important thing is to make sure it's really, really well watered. And
do we have to look out for any pests?
Pests and disease, they do suffer from a few things, and again, when it's this time of year, new growth and soft growth, there's green fly particularly like the soft growth. I've got plenty of Japanese maples at home, and the thing that I seem to suffer with every single year on the more mature ones is scale insect. Now, scale insect is like an oval, dark brown shell and it sticks to the
like a
stems
bug.
and branches,
Yeah.
and it sticks to the stems and branches. And because it's got this shell, it's very difficult to kill it with a traditional insecticide.
Right.
So what you need to do is use a systemic insecticide, and that will sink into the plant, and as the bug's chewing and taking up the sap, it will poison it and kill it, and that's the only real way to get rid of scale insect. Another thing that maples suffer with is, and it's not a problem, is dieback. Now dieback, where you'll get a branch, none of these, I was actually looking for a maple with dieback on, but you know,
it's a good job.
But usually what you find is on a maple at home, you'll get so much dieback, 6-7 inches, something like that of dieback. The branches turn sort of like a silvery grey, and you can snap them off. It's perfectly normal. You will get it on a yearly basis, but you need to get rid of them, because if you don't get rid of them, that dieback will turn into what's called coral spot. Now, coral spot is a very pretty fungus. You'll know coral spot because it's got hundreds and hundreds of bright orange dots all over the branch.
Right.
That's coral spot. Now, coral spot only attacks dead wood to start off with, but then it can move to live wood.
Right.
So it's something where you need to do that
So just
maintenance.
eat the plant.
Yeah, just do the maintenance. Just get rid of the dead wood and the dieback off the acer, and then you shouldn't have a problem with coral spot. If you're finding that it is moving into the live wood, don't prune it straight away. Wait until the autumn when all the leaves dropped off, and then prune it when it's not growing.
Yeah.
If you tend to prune maples at this time of year while the leaves on the tree, if you prune and you leave a cut on the branch, it's very sweet, maple syrup and that kind of thing. So the sap is very, very sweet. And once you cut anything and it gets damaged, you'll find that lots and lots of bugs and black fly and green fly will go to that cut and that kind of thing. And so try not to prune it while it's growing, when it's completely lost its leaf. So, but people think they're very difficult to grow, maples, but they're not. I mean, the tips that I've given today: right compost, right soil, pick a maple. If you want one for a pot, pick one that's not going to get too big. You know, don't pick one that will get to 9 foot and expect it to stop into a pot 2 foot wide. Make sure you pick one that's only sort of get to 1 metre tall, so you can put it into a pot. Basically,
so they don't grow to the pot. Some plants sort of grow to the pot size, so you can put them in.
They will do, and maples, because they're a great container plant because they've got this fibrous root.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a tap root; it's very fibrous root, so it can stop in a pot for a long time. But once they've used all the nutrients and they've used up all the space, what you'll find is a big maple leaf like that will start to shrink. It stunts the growth. It stunts the growth, and it won't kill it, but it will just stunt the growth, and the leaf will come out a lot smaller by being in a pot for too long. So, but that's only really on the very, very big maples. There's plenty of different varieties that you could have as a dwarf variety that you can have in a pot, and it'll sit happily on your patio and give you no trouble at all. But the thing is, if it's in a pot, lots and lots of water, definitely, almost every single day.
Right. Well, that was interesting. I hope everyone's going to try that out and it's not put anybody off. So, if they need any more tips, where can they contact you? Well,
the best place is on the Facebook page. Most people tend to contact me on the Facebook page. It's, if you put in the search bar Mark Smith Garden Guru, you'll find my Facebook page, and they can ask me questions there. They can send me messages if they want to send photos or videos or anything like that. If any problems they've got, I'll answer those and can send them back. Likewise, they can get in touch with Burton TV on their website and an email address. Or likewise, if they're interested, if anybody viewers are interested in the varieties that Swarkestone's got here, phone up Swarkestone on Derby 01332 700 800, and they can advise people of what varieties they've got in at the moment. Come and have a look, get advice, and you can pick your compost and your fertiliser up while you're here.
Oh, that's lovely. I hope that's been of interest to the viewers. So, that's it for April's edition, and we'll see you next time.
And it's very interesting. It's very bendy, very bendy. God, I can't see anything.
It's very bendy.
It's very bendy. And look. Now I'll probably snap it now. But look.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And what they
looks a bit
do?
floppy, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can bend. No, you go.
Oh my God.
Now, if you did that to a regular plant,
It'd just snap.
it'd snap.
Yeah.
But they shave the bark off, and they make the paper from it. They make the Chinese banknotes out of.
Wow.
Should I be on that side?
I don't know. Yeah, I
That
think
should be
you
on,
do.
should be on this side. Japanese maples.
Right.
It's quite a big group of plants, various different types of coloured leaf, whether it be oranges, reds, greens. Yeah, I know, I was carrying on. The magnolia.
Magnolia. Rhubarb.
Yeah. There's, don't say rhubarb. Do you understand rhubarb? Hold on. Don't mention the rhubarb. Come back.
I spotted the rhubarb.
You've got a fixation with rhubarb, you have. Right, okay.